All right. Hey, good morning, traders. Can you hear me out there? Everybody hear me? Fantastic. There's been a bit of a challenge this morning getting a guest trader. And so we're just going to move ahead. We're just going to move ahead. We're not able to get the technology working this morning. And so unfortunately, this is what you get. This is what you get sometimes when you're dealing with um, just a myriad number of different computers and internet and everything like that. So unfortunately, we'll just kind of jump in and I'm sure, many of you, we make sure that it's a yeah. I think we'll just go do a trading session this morning. Thank you for volunteering. By the way, it was an awful experience last Thursday. I don't know those of you who were following, but during last Thursday's trading session, but I ended up getting stopped out, and I mean, it happens. It'll happen to get stopped out like that happens maybe once a year. So there it was. You got to witness that that fun experience of getting stopped out. But I was able to pull it back and later and so made back my money. Just had to trade an awful lot to get back into to get the um, to get things working again, get that account back up. So any rate, here we are doing a little yeah, that it took me about it. Well, I was back in the saddles Friday, so it was good. Sorry, I'm a little bit trying with not having that guest trader able to work out with that guest trader. It's kind of thrown me for a little bit of a loop this morning, so I'm a little bit frazzled. But let's just get trading and let's jump in and see what we can do in the market. So this morning, I really haven't even had a chance to. I traded last night, so I haven't had a chance to even really dig into. Thank you, Steve. I haven't had a chance to go through my morning routine even. So let's start out, look at the daily chart. Basically had a little bit of that bounce, just crazy volatility or crazy up and down movement without any follow through. This was that big pull off the bottom day that was such a nightmare for me. And then it pulled back Friday, and then today we're getting a little bit of a bounce. So the question is right now, does this follow through the remainder of the day, and do we get a big rally up? It is a holiday, so there is light trading, which could be a little bit of a challenge today. So we'll take a look at we'll take a look at that. But for right now, I think we're going to try primarily on the bullish side of the market. It's flat. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So here's the hour chart, the big Thursday run, the big pullback on Friday, and then over the weekend, just kind of on a sideways movement. Not a lot of up or down. So maybe just a slight bullish leaning in our trading today. But we'll definitely keep an eye on this price point up here because it seems to be having a hard time breaking through that level up there. So I'm just going to jot that number down. Don't know if we go high or go low. If we go low, we're almost there right now. Um, 1.05296. 05296. And then we'll drop down to a 1 minute chart. And this is where we're starting to see that little breakout coming in. 296. I'm going to throw that number 05296. And then we'll tune that just a little bit. Man, I'm not seeing really great correlation around this price point. So I'm gonna abandon that because we've got a little bit, 2 points right here, 1 point, 2 points. We don't really have, we have a little bit, this is probably a little bit better, 1.0535, because you got a point here, you've got a lot of resistance in that area. And really 05293 is probably our better turning point. And then of course down here where we've kind of worked our way up through it, tested it, and now on the way up. So I think on any kind of pullback here this morning, what I'll do is I'll start to put in a little bit of I'm going to drop the lot size and trade real conservative for a minute, because we're not getting big follow through on anything. So I'll start out real light, throw a couple of trades on in just try and test this line up here. I better put that line in too. So we are right on a key level right here too. So coming up into these bottoms could be a resistance point for us. So we actually broke through it. So let's see if we hold it right here. Looks good so far. Sorry, you gotta like it. Once you're, I don't know if you're like this, but when you have tech issues, when you're like dealing with technology and stuff like that, it's like it's hard to get your head in the right frame of mind. But so I just got to get back into, just kind of got to get into the market. Let that just get in tune with the market again, and life is good after that. Tech stress is no fun. All right, nice little pop here. Looks good. Great. I'm expecting a little bit of a bounce off this little line here. It's amazing. Look at that. Look at it, just stopped right on that line. We picked a good line there. And again, that's like all of this little choppy trading over in here, and then the peak of this, all of this little choppy trading in here, and then the peak here. Just seems like it was a good line for us. Glad we didn't go with 05296. See if we can get that trade a little too early on that trade. So we're going to let this pull back. Um, that target's on the other side of the line. I don't see, of course, there's so much, anything can happen on a day where we've got light volume like this, but I don't see a big reason for the market to explode and make a continued strong run when we've got all these alternating up and down, up and down, up and down candles. So waiting for a little pullback here is probably a better approach. And then getting those targets underneath that line. So now I can pull that one down. And then this line right here should hold, but there's a good chance, again, there's a good chance that it breaks back down. So we'll see. So I don't want to get into a big position here. A little pop, but not a test of the high is the most likely result. So not a test of the high, but a test of the top of that candle is what I'm kind of hoping. And I'm going to pull that one trade off that we had the fill that came in over there. Okay, there we go. So it did test the high. And I'm not feeling really strong in this case, in this situation. I'm not feeling real strongly that it'll make a break to the upside, but let's see. Let's kind of watch that. So just kind of pausing in that top range. So that's actually a bullish signal. Right here, here's the test, the run and the test of the line. So does it break? Good morning, Vicky. Welcome. Estelle, welcome. Lee. Okay, trying to make that break. So as it popped up into those highs and it held in that upper range, it's gathering. It's just like it's like holding itself out, you know, saying, "Hey, I'm up here. I'm within striking distance of a break. Anybody want to come join me?" And so as it holds in that top range, then oftentimes I look for that test of the break, and this is the test of the break, right? So it held up here and then came up and tested that break, and then the break is happening right now. And so now we're starting to get a little overextended and a little bit different market character than we had before. So I'm going to let that run just a little bit, and then I'm going to probably take a fade off the top of this. In fact, I might put one in just to see where it puts where that puts our target. So good, starting to get a good target placement. And then I really want to, I'm going to look and see where I'm going to build my strong position. I got a little bit of a right here. I think I'm going to actually start to build a position right here. So on the underside of this little test here, this test here. So I'm going to start to build a little short position. Start with 5 little trades right on here, right here. And then I'll hold and build a stronger position if it breaks up to the peak. Maybe a couple on the whipsaw for a whipsaw. Targets are coming in great spot for an easy pullback. And right here. So notice like what I want right here, that candle right there is going to be a difficult turning point for the market. So on a pullback, if we move into sideways consolidation until this candle, if this candle closes above the wick, then it'll change this whole analysis, or closes above the line, then it'll change this whole analysis. But what I'm going to try and do is if this market's in an expansion phase, hopefully the next phase will be a consolidation. And so what I want to do is I want to get these targets above the low of that wick right in there. So anything right on the line, I want to kind of peel right up. I'm watching that candle because that could be another breakout zone, and it changes this whole analysis. So it didn't run away too badly unless this one runs with it. But watch, let's see if so these might as well be a mile away. Because it's got to make the turn in order to hit these targets down here. But here, it just needs to slip into like some sideways consolidation. We'll zoom right in. This works a little bit better during higher volatility markets. We're not getting enough volume. So we picked the slide into consolidation, right? But it's choosing the bottom of that candle to find support as opposed to the bottom of that candle. So we may be a little off. That's why I didn't want that candle to move any higher, because it would strengthen the more that candle rallies, and the more that it strengthens the reason why the turning point should be here, as opposed to here. So coming right into our target stack right there. Good place to lighten up if you're a little overextended. And it's still holding that line. which is not particularly great for our trade setup. So I miscalled, it was kind of a miscall on the turning point, but the reason why it miscalled is because that candle just pushed a little bit too high. If that was just a little bit more subdued candle, all of this sideways consolidation would be down here on this line. But because I think it was just a little bit too aggressive on that candle. I mean, I know it doesn't look aggressive, but it was just a little bit too much aggressive to actually to put that turning point down here. Instead, it put the turning point right there and tested it once, tested it twice, and it's pulling off of it right now. So now the risk is the top of the channel, or the top of the consolidation right there. And the risk is we make a break, and in which case we run another leg higher. You can clearly see that consolidation is starting to form or formed. Got the timing right, just didn't quite get the positioning right. Does that make sense to everybody? Like, I can't express how important it is to try and always know where those turning points are going to be, right? Where that turning point is going to be, you can kind of guess where it is before the turn ever happens. Before you get the consolidation, you kind of have a sense as to where that turn ought to be. When we were putting these trades in, that candle was still pretty subdued underneath the top. And so that's why I was originally thinking it would be here. But when that candle broke and closed above that high, then the turning point became that point right there. This is our 6th minute of sideways consolidations, and our 7th minute, actually, if you count that original candle. At this point, a greater chance that we go up than down. So I always make sure that I remind myself of that way I'm composed when the market makes a run to the high side, right? We're not in too large of a position. We're in 1.8 position lot sizes, right at a key turning point. But the way this pattern's forming, there's a greater chance of a run higher from here. So there's a lot of pressure in this whole range over here on the 5-minute chart. There's an entire, like, this is where things get your wicks. So this is where you get the wicks starting to form, where the market makes those big runs to the top side and then pushes back down. So you would expect a little bit of a push down here. Okay, third test on those lows. Again, if you're overextended, great place to just peel 1 or 2 off. Just take a little bit of that edge off of your lot size. The difference between closing it here and here, not that great of a difference. The difference of holding it on and not closing it out here and closing it out up here, huge difference. So that's why I always say peel off. Now we got the break, and that was a true break. So far it was 10 seconds left on that candle. Good peel off zone. Worked out good. So needed the turn and misread that price point right there. Okay, so now I think we'll flip back to the long side again. So although in the nature of the market is that we're getting pretty good solid extensions to the upside and then really strong moves back down. So really strong move down, really strong move down, really strong move down. So there is a possibility that we get a really strong move back down here. So we don't want to get, we're not going to get too heavy in a trade here on the long side. But in good normal moving markets, I would look for another test of the highs. So let's have one test of the high. I'd look for a second test of the high to see if that market wants to make a break and a run and make a breakout. But just the nature of the market is not, it's not having that kind of it's not in that kind of a mood this morning. See if we get that second test right here, turn in that second test. So I'm watching how the candles are forming. They're just like really weak this morning. Not a lot going. Not a lot happening. New low. One more trade on. That target is in a great spot. It's in a great spot if it can hold this line. If it breaks this line, it's in a terrible spot. Pressing on that line, a little bit of a flicker. Oh, what's the ECB? Are they just speeches? So little flicker, pressing on the line. So you can kind of think of it as like just chewing through those you see blah, blah, blah. You see blah. Recession is not a baseline scenario for Eurozone. Well, that's an interesting line. It's interesting how, yeah, it's just interesting how, you know, starting at about really about the mid 2000s towards the end of 2010 or the 2010 range. So there was a lot of in the academic circles, there was a lot of like, what's the word? Basically trying to extol the value of words in policy. So basically it's like so they started adopting like word structure in how the central banks write their policy, and more in, it's like, hey, our better tool, the better tool may not be interest rates and interest rate decisions, but our better tool might be the expectations, or setting the psychology of this, managing the psychology of the world in expectation of a rate hikes or rate decisions. And so they adopted more of this like words matter more than policy type approach. And so now I think they've taken that to the extreme where, now it's like, oh, all we have to do is say that the economy is good and the economy will be good. So it's kind of, they kind of get a little bit overly optimistic on the power of their own speeches, I guess is a good way to say it. But there is some validity to it. I mean, it's, the words that they use and the changes that they make to the words, and everybody studying the the patterns of the words in the speeches. So I don't know if it makes magical thinking. Yeah, John says that 30-year fixed rate mortgages have doubled, just talking about quantitative tightening. It really is. It really was like a very popular thing in, for a while there, just the wording and the signaling that they were making. So rallied up, tried to make that turn to the top side, failed, and then we've got a pretty strong bar. There is a tendency, if you're aggressive like me, to try and get into a trade right in here, but that's a dangerous one right there. Really good chance it breaks down. Lee, I like that. Just show me action. Words don't matter. I think the media is like the media is the same way. It's like, if we can just like paint this picture or that picture, that's what the world will believe. And I think they get enthralled with their own messaging and wording. All right, bouncing off. I don't trust that candle. Candle is a little off place, and it could just be because we don't have the volume of traders today, but that's in that candle should have, like, I expect a little bit of a bounce, but then a push right back down is what you would normally see there. And of course, it's going to try and make a run to the top side. Oh, that's interesting, Amanda. Yeah, I think there's like a lot of academic research on speech and language and stories. Well, it took out our targets, so that's a good thing. Again, so normally when you see this pattern where it's pressing, rallies up, gets slammed down in one single, then there's almost, it's really common to see a break there. And even if you don't get it on that candle, on this one, this is where I look for the elevator is on that, or the trampoline on that candle right there. I typically look for that to happen. I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple shorts in. I'm still out rejection. That rejection's a good setup for the shorts right here, but this was a good setup for the short as well. So see if it follows through. Didn't follow through over here. It's almost the exact same thing. Boom, 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 slam, should follow through. Mhm. This is the holidays, guys, and the summer doldrums all working together. We should have seen again, just like over here, we should have seen follow through to the downside, and that follow through never came. So almost the exact same pattern. Now we're working into, now we're working into a stronger argument for a break to the upside now. Amanda, last summer the doldrums were actually pretty good, so you never know. The test of the lows would be a great thing for us. And since I don't have a large position, I'm going to pull a couple of these trades down, make a little extra money on that, on those, if we get the breakdown. And when I say breakdown, I'm just saying just from these, this little platform, not a breakdown. Although a breakdown from this line would also be good. There's just not enough. There's not enough people in the market right now. There should have been a test there. This does not have a lot happening, guys. another break, another attempted break. Yeah, it's just. Gonna split that deck too. I'm gonna go half of this trade for like a full-on break. Jared, good question. Trading on Fridays. Um, I don't usually trade on Fridays. I will if I need to make some money back, but I don't normally trade on Fridays. So again, another rejected turn. And let's see if we get the pop higher here. So the same way this should have yielded a down leg, this should yield an up. So this should have followed through to the downside. This should go to the upside. Just so you can see if there's a little bit of follow through, then I'll put my another stack of shorts on. Don't want to get too heavy right here. Yeah, Trevor. Trevor, I did mention that right at the very beginning. Actually got stopped out of those trades on Thursday. So I'd moved them all up to that, what I call the end of my fix it zone. So we have the setup zone, then I had the fix it zone, and I actually moved my stop losses up above that end of what I considered the end of the fix it zone. And I got stopped out of that, and it rallied up a bunch even after that. So I was able to work it back later that day. When everything resets, was able to get back in and work it out. So everything worked out in the end. But it took a lot of work to get there. So it was a pretty rough trading session. Yeah, Caddyshack is like everything's a coin toss. It kind of feels like it, right? So again, that one should have rallied up. It didn't. And so of course now we're down and we're actually below that little platform, hitting a stack of targets right there, hopefully. And I may just, there we go. I don't know. I don't want to wait for it to try and break that. There's a pretty good chance it'll break that, but I don't know if I want to wait for it. Right here. Nah, too slow. Too slow. Take the money. Guys, I don't know if this market's just not, there's just not enough action, not enough trading happening. We've spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We've spent almost a half an hour in sideways markets that we can't even squeak out the 2 pips out of. So I think we'll probably call it a morning, with everything that went on this morning, trying to get things working, and then the markets are slow. So I think we'll just call it a good. I'll call it a morning. We picked up a couple of good trades, and we'll be happy with that. All right, traders, great to be with you, and look forward to next Monday. Hopefully get our guest trader working. So thanks everyone. We'll see you then. Bye now.